Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another JC Tea Talks podcast.
This is our first video where we are recording ourselves.
Today, we'll be talking about the history of tea.
We have a sponsor today, Sir Thrival. Sir Thrival has a bunch of different teas you can choose from and wellness items.
That is awesome. Hashtag sponsor, hashtag ad. Please subscribe to our channel and like this video.
Nice. And thanks again, Sir Thrival, for sponsoring us. Today we'll be doing the history of tea, and we both picked two companies where we will learn the history about and talk about that.
So I chose the British East India Company and Celestial Seasonings. Which two did you choose, Callum?
I chose the I'm sure this sounds very familiar, the Stash Company, which do all sorts of tea, and the Numi Company. I don't know if that is how you pronounce it. If it's not how you pronounce it, please let me know in the comments, and I will look it up next time. First company that I'm going to be talking about today is the company Numi. The company was founded in 1999 by brother and sister Ahmed and Reem Rahim. The founders named the company Numi after the citrus Middle Eastern dried lime tea they drank as children growing up in Israel. Numi sells bagged tea, loose leaf tea, and iced tea. The company offers tea types including green, black, white, oolong, pu'er, and herbal teas, such as honeybush and rubius. Numi Organic Tea is privately owned by a triple bottom line social enterprise based in Oakland, California. Sorry I couldn't get all the facts in. Sorry I couldn't do so much facts about Numi. I promise the other one that I have has way more facts than this, but it was a little smaller company, so I couldn't find so much about it.
Even though Numi is a small company, they do still make a delicious and amazing tea. Now, Callum, would you like to go to your next company?
Yes, our next company today is the company Stash, which I'm sure you've heard of. Stash Tea was founded in 1972 by Steve Lee, Dave Leager, and Stephen Smith, who also co-founded Stephen Smith Tea Maker and founded Tazo. The company originally operated out of an old Portland Victorian-style house. Supply loose herbal teas and bulk herbs to natural food stores. Stash Tea Company, also known as the Universal Tea Company Incorporated, ranks among the top 5 specialty tea companies in the United States. Stash Tea products are available worldwide through food service, grocery stores, tea and coffee shops, club stores, mass merchandisers, natural food stores, and the internet. The company is privately owned by the U.S.-based Yama Otoyama Company, a 300-year-old tea company based in Tokyo, Japan.
I've got the British East India Company, and I have Celestial Seasonings. So let's go on to those. Celestial Seasonings, in 1969, one of the Celestial Seasonings founders, Mo Siegel, handpicked wild herbs from the Rocky Mountains in Colorado and used them to make the company's first ever tea. In the following years, Mo sold his company Mo's 36 and 24 herb teas to health food stores around the state. Eventually, he sold them in hand-sewn muslin bags. So muslin bags are hand-sewn cotton bags, and they're very, very loosely sewn. He did all of this by hand. Nowadays, we've got factories and machines that can do these, but he did them all by himself, which is very, very neat. It was those early years where Celestial Seasonings began creating and defining the herbal tea category. All herbal teas that you know today started with Celestial Seasonings. By 1972, 2 flagship blends were introduced, Red Zinger and Sleepy Time. These innovative brands and blends and their popularity, Sleepy Time is the best-selling specialty tea of all time. This helped turn our cottage industry into a near overnight success. Celestial Seasonings has grown so much by then, and today Celestial Seasonings serves more than 1.6 billion cups of tea a year. Celestial Seasonings produce their product based expanded to include lines for green tea, chai tea, rubies, wellness tea, and cool brewed iced tea. And the ingredients are all sourced over 35 countries, so everybody has gotten into Celestial Seasonings. They've grown so much from picking wild herbs from the Rocky Mountains to now they are in factories and they've got different countries helping them. And Celestial Seasonings merged with the Hain Food Group, and this is now their parent company, and they finished naming it Hain Celestial Group. So this is very cool, and this was in 1984. They were purchased by Kraft, the famous mac and cheese brand that everybody knows. This is very, very neat. I got all this information from the Celestial Seasonings website. Thank you very much, and I love to drink their tea.
Wow, I learned a lot about that tea company. I'm sure they're great.
Yeah, they are, and I'm very happy to talk about them today. And now I'll go on to the British East India Company.
Ooh, fancy.
Yes, it's very, very fancy. And this is actually not a main tea company. So I thought of this because in my 5th grade year, I got to learn about the Boston Tea Party. It's very interesting. So the British East India Company, so it's also called the English East India Company. So it started in the 1600s. So the merchants of London was trading to the East Indies, so Virginia, the 13 colonies. And this was trade from the East, Southeast Asia, India. So all these different places were trading to British that came over to America. And what happened was that their number one thing that they shipped was tea. And if you ever heard of the Tea and Stamp Act, so this is what the company played a major role in. So they, from the early 18th century to the 19th century, this is what they were trading from. So one of the main things it shipped was tea, like I said, and it's very famous for the Boston Tea Party. So merchants boycotted the tea since it was being taxed. So what was happened is that the British East India Company would bring this tea that they would make to the merchants in America, and they would charge the merchants extra money. And the merchants wouldn't like this, so what they did is that they boycotted the entire tea. And what happened is that the Boston Harbor had a ship full of tea, and a group of like about 30 men, they took all the boxes of tea and they threw it into the Boston Harbor, and all that tea went to waste. But that is how they boycotted it, and Great Britain was very angry about this because that was probably $1,000 at least of tea that they had shipped, and it's all gone to the Boston Harbor. Now, the Boston Harbor today is not full of tea, but it's crazy how they stood up to what they believed in, and that definitely goes into what is happening these days. And the British end up removing the tax, and the Americas were able to find the herbs that are being made for herbal tea these days, and they made their own tea. So they stood up and they found a solution and they made that. And that is what's great about people. I'm so happy that they were able to stand up for themselves. And the British East India Tea Company, they're now out of business. So in 1937, they stopped their company because they were so much in debt. And really, America didn't need any shipping anymore because think about it, there's no 13 colonies anymore. There's 50 states. We've expanded so much in America. There's 50 states, and we can all supply each other. And there's different countries that can even do this. So China, Russia, there's so many countries that we work together to get these things that used to be, we can't get this, but now we can find it. And yes, Callum, do you have something to say?
I have, so when they threw the tea inside of the harbor, did it make, like, the water turn different colors? Because, like, all of the tea was in there, did it like did like the water was like I could really say use some tea and then it had some tea, you know?
So that is really funny. So I actually had to do some research on that. In the Boston Harbor, it was all green tea. So back then they didn't have multiple flavors of the tea that we have today. So it was all green tea that they were shipping, green and herbal tea, and that's all they had, and black tea. So that was it, and that was all thrown in the Boston Harbor. And one of the funny things is there's multiple sources that say the harbor did turn to tea, like what you thought, and then there's also sources that say nothing happened. So it's interesting, but because it's such a large body of water, most likely it didn't happen. But there's beliefs that it did happen, but it 100% flavored the water and it mixed up the solution because it's tea. And I mean, there's people out there, I would guess, with their mugs just going to the Boston Harbor, getting their teas, and then running. But free tea.
Yeah.
So that is a very good observation. I very much like that. So I am all done with my tea company.
So I have a couple of other questions. So like yeah, I feel like it wouldn't turn like a different color for the tea because it's so big. And like a tea, like you need like let's just talk about bagged tea that has about like 2 teaspoons maybe. About that. And that basically fills up a cup.
Yeah.
And if you had, was this like loose tea or was this bagged?
It was crates. So it was about 50-ounce crates, and it was all loose tea. And they would say one of the things that merchants would talk about is tea would always be wasted because these boxes weren't that high quality because it's just wood nailed together. So tea would be falling out, but they still had the box of tea. And then when that would go in, the water seeped through the wood and into the cracks, and the tea came out, and it partially colored the water, right? Because it would flavor that. Let's say it's
Like in different spots.
yeah, in different spots because not all boxes were in one location. But I bet your observation, like a 16-ounce cup, it probably, because 2 teaspoons, that would probably be filling up like 10 U.S. gallons per crate or something like that. Probably around there. So that, I mean, the Boston Harbor, I think, is millions of U.S. gallons, but a couple liters. So it would definitely fill up a couple liters or gallons if you're in the U.S., a couple liters in different countries.
Interesting facts of tea, like which country drinks the most tea, health benefits for drinking tea, all that different stuff. So it might be a surprise when you think which country drinks the most tea. You'd probably think something like, I don't know, somewhere in Asia or somewhere in Europe. And I mean, you're technically right. So the place that drinks the most tea is the country Turkey, which might not be expected.
Yeah, I would have never thought that. I would think like Britain because they usually have tea time.
Yes, and then I'm sure you want to know how much. So it's Turkey, and then we got Ireland coming in next.
Yeah.
And then we have England.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And the country that drinks the least amount of tea is Mexico and Brazil.
Whoa, I did not know that. That is very interesting. Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of the U.S. viewers are wondering where U.S. is. The U.S. is about halfway, maybe a little above or lower. It's just kind of whatever.
Yeah. That's very interesting. Yeah.
And I believe in like Turkey, it's like 8 ounces of tea per person.
Oh.
Or something like that. I think it's something like that. And then like Ireland, it's like 6, and England is like 6. And so something like that. And I might be wrong, but it was something around that. The health benefits for tea are you have a way reduced chance of getting any heart diseases, heart attacks, any really big heart problems. So it's really good for your body. It's a good way to lose weight. It's a there's a lot of health benefits to tea in that way.
Yeah, so the company that's sponsoring us, they make their teas out of Yaupon, and Yaupon is so Earth Rival. If you want to show one of the bags if you have it, but you can see it's Yaupon tea. So this is leaves, and it's one of the only plants in North America that has caffeine. And you can see it, they even advertise it on there. And what happens is that, yeah, medium roast. So what happens is that the tea that they make, that's naturally caffeinated, and it's very good for your body. And what happens is that this can help with different like heart issues and your muscles, your joints. Tea is very helpful. And one of the things that personal trainers work on and fitness people, they focus on, oh, drink lots of water to be hydrated. And if you want to get health benefits and caffeine and have water going into your system, this Yaupon Survival tea is one of the best teas that you can have on the market. And Survival, they have a bunch of wellness products that we did talk about before that you can buy that can definitely help your health. So I think that I'm definitely buying a bunch of stuff from Survival. So I think
Yes,
you should.
Survival is definitely amazing.
Yes.
I definitely recommend it to anybody that is looking for some tea to drink. And I'm sure, and like this tea is really good, and it's so nice of Survival to be sending us tea this time. I had 2 cups of the medium roast, and it was really good. This is like some of the best tea I have had in like, I don't know, maybe even ever, because like it's just so good and so perfect. It has everything you want in it. It's really good. I had one with just this, and then one with a little bit of sugar, and they both were really good. And I just literally drank 2 cups of tea.
Yeah, I drank mine, and I am also using tea. It's not Survival because I wasn't able to get it shipped in time, but I was able to get some delicious tea, and it is herbal tea, and I'm very happy that I got to drink my daily tea today, and I would recommend everybody to have your daily tea. And we did get some on our last video, on our last podcast, we got some favorite teas. So, I am going to check that out right now.
And before we get into that, you can also get it in dark roast if you're not a medium roast person. You can get dark roast or medium roast. I'm sure there's way more options on the Survival store. The link will be in the description. So go check it out. Buy some teas. Get healthy. Just be good. This will, I guarantee, be the best tea you've ever had because it's so good. But they don't just have tea like Jake was saying. They also have other health and wellness products on their store too. But we want to give a really big shout out to Survival for doing this. Thank you.
Yes, and we have Barbara and Julie both commented on our video, and Julie said her favorite tea was rubies, and Barbara said her favorite tea is raspberry. So those are both very, very good, and I'm very happy that we have participants in our podcasts.
Yes. So yeah, thank Barbara and Julie for sending those in the comments. I don't know, Jake, what would you say you like most out of those 2?
I would say raspberry. I'm a very sweet kind of person. I usually like delicious fruity flavors. I'm that kind of person, so you have a thought on one of those?
I haven't had raspberry yet, but definitely seems nice. So I will say in the future, maybe I will be 100 years old. We will still be doing this when we're 100, obviously. And I will be like, my favorite tea is raspberry,
Yeah, totally.
That could definitely happen. We got a really 50 chance of that happening.
Yeah, totally. So
because tea will maybe make you live longer.
Yes, there's scientific research, and it definitely helps your health. There is some studies going on right now about tea, so that's very interesting. And please go out and follow our Instagram, YouTube, and check out Survival. Thank you so much for sponsoring us today. Callum, do you have anything to add?
Instagram's linked in the description. Survival store is linked in the description. So yeah, I think that's all I can do. If you want to learn more about Survival, go to their store and learn about them. Please buy tea. Monthly giveaway. So We are still looking for some more sponsors. If you are another sponsor watching this, please reach out to us. That'd be really great. Me and Jake have actually reached out to a couple people. Sir Thrival as our first person, which is greatly appreciated from me, and I'm sure Jake too.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you very much, Sir Thrival. And this will be the end of our podcast.